right, everybody eager to get started? So welcome to Artful Connections. My name is Tracey Hawthorne. I'm a program planner here for Halifax Adult Day. There's a few faces in the room I should introduce. It's Hetty, my co-host. John Van Gurp, who is our camera guy for today. And he is also highlighted in the book you see in your kit in front of you. Anna, who is our public relations for Caregivers Nova Scotia. And Sarah is the manager of Adult Day Services in Metro.
She's good at parking too.
I just learned. Who came before us to this land. We are all treaty people. Yeah. So when Hetty and I began, we thought, what would we like to do? We want to keep it casual and light. Of course, there are some things that are required, a lot of structure. But Hetty and I began probably 15 years ago. And that was a chance happening because I was in long-term care working as a recreation programmer then. And Hetty was the daughter of someone that I cared for.
This is where I interject. I told her I'd be doing this. I was on the floor visiting my mother and I saw Tracey in action, and I just remember saying very quietly to myself, I want to get to know that woman. So here we are.
Yeah.
Wish fulfilled.
So about 18 years later, but this is a rough guesstimate, someone named John Van Gurp walks into my office, and he's here as a caregiver for his wife, Heather. So the book you see in the package there tells the whole story very descriptively and quite lovely. Ready? All right. So would you like to introduce yourselves at all? We want to hear your voices too. It is Caregiver Appreciation Month, so part of this day is for you. Just breathe, relax, and enjoy yourself. We're all here for the same reason. Dig in your kit bag you have there. You should see one page agenda. Oh, you guys see it.
The agenda is
in your little kit bag. There'll be little sticky notes. So we thought it was important. While we're doing our activity, you're thinking, what if this didn't work, or what if this happened, or what would I do? Your what ifs. If anything hits you that you're like, but Tom can't use his fingers, he has really bad arthritis. What would I do? What if? What if he couldn't, right? Anything that comes to mind with the people you care for, or just overall questions you have, write them on the sticky notes as we go here.
Yeah, it's obvious. Well, first of all, I've been involved in workshops for teachers for many decades, and today confirms what I've always believed, is that the best part of a workshop is what just happened here.
Yeah.
And that leads into you then sharing. You get to know, well, Paula is experienced in this, maybe I'll chat with her. You're going to make connections yourself. So that was really very enriching for you, but for us as well. And it's obvious that everyone in this room has an intuitive belief that doing something creative and or artistic or both is a good thing. It's enjoyable, but there are benefits as well. I think you all know that. But sometimes it's reassuring to know that the research backs up that intuitive belief. So I summarized some of the research papers that John and I also have a website called Fridays with Heather, and there's a tab there for dementia in the news. And whenever I come across an interesting research paper or some news article, I'll post it there. So I'm going to just quickly tell you 9 different outcomes from the research that seem to come up again and again in most of the papers that I've looked at. The first one is that it enhances communication, even for nonverbal persons. Heather now, John's wife Heather, you'll hear about Heather during the morning, who is now at Northwood, no longer speaks, and we're not sure how much she understands, probably not very much, but we can still communicate with her. I can make her laugh, and John certainly can as well. There's still communication. And until very recently, we were making art together, and that was our way of connecting. We would sit for 45 minutes or an hour just painting or marking with markers, and to me that was a form of connecting and communicating. Also, making art will boost mood and reduce depression. It supports memory recall. Veronica, your mother, and I chat sometimes when we're making art, and she talks to me about her Irish background and the fact that a lot of people in her family make art. It improves cognitive function. It stimulates different areas of the brain. I'm sure that Mary can back that up as well in your art therapy practice. I'm sure you know all. Supports motor skills and coordination. Painting, drawing, using clay is all good for fine motor skills. And it's a meaningful activity. It's not about having something to take home and hang on the wall, although that's a good thing to do. It's about the process, and you're making something that other people admire and appreciate. So it's a meaningful opportunity for you as well as the person with whom you're working. It's a win-win, kind of a double benefit. So if you want to read more about those, the papers are pretty dense. They're not enjoyable reading, but you would find that all these benefits are confirmed. And I brought in some examples that I wanted to show you. Heather and I have been making art for 3 years. And you'll see in the book some examples of the very early pieces that we made. This was the first one. Heather made this painting over a number of weeks on a fairly big canvas. It's quite a bit bigger than this. And she enjoyed it, and I made one alongside of her. First of all, I forgot to say I'm not an artist. My specialty, I guess, is motivating people to be comfortable with making things. So she started on this, and John tells me that between one Friday and the next, she would go over and pick up the paintbrush and do it on her own. So she was still at that independent stage. We made a beautiful mosaic mirror. We made wreaths to hang on the wall. We made a lot of different types of art, and every week was enjoyable. But then when she was losing her language, it became difficult for her to understand what I was trying to explain. And so after a while, we just really started painting and using pastels, watercolors, and acrylics. So these pieces, this was made about 1 year ago. I limited the number of colors that I laid out for her because too many choices is confusing. And she took the pastel, she was watching me, and I was making marks on my paper. So she also, very thorough and filled the whole page with beautiful colors. Research papers I read said that people with frontotemporal dementia, which is what Heather has, tend to, what's the word, perseverate? Yeah, perseverate, meaning they go over and over and over the same area, which Heather did, because it started off lime green and pink, and then she just painted over until it turned into this piece of art. A few examples that will lead into the activity that you are going to do. I mentioned the kits, and one of the kits that I was just working on is the art of Paul Klee, K-L-E-E, and he was quoted as saying that a line is just a dot that went for a walk. What a great way to think about it, because when you say to somebody, let's make something, have some paint and let's make a painting, and often the first response is, well, I can't even draw a straight line. You've heard it, maybe you've even said it, I don't know. But this is all about making lines, and they don't have to be straight. So the activity that I showed as a sample of making lines is one Heather and I did together way back. And this is what, something like this, we would like you to make a piece of art using lines. And the way this was done was, you have pastels in your kit. The lines are made with pastel because it's oil-based, so when you paint over it, the pastel resists the paint. So this was an example, but I show you this because we did this in the Adult Day program a few weeks back, and I just wanted to show you that this is not about, oh, here's an example. This is the way we did when I went to school. The teacher would show an example, and we all had to make one identical. Colored identical. Yes, we would get a cardboard tracing piece that the person in the front seat drew and passed it back, and then the next person drew and passed it back. And then we were instructed on how to color it, and that was art.
Yeah.
It wasn't fun, and it was pretty boring up on the bulletin board, 31 pumpkins identical. No, the most ironic thing I ever saw in a school was snowflakes. Snowflakes, and underneath it was a little poem about the beauty of snowflakes, because each one is original and unique. They're no two alike, and they were all cut out stencils. But this is what the day program participants produced. There's a beautiful piece of art made with lines. It's a playground. This is Veronica's art. Yeah, she didn't want to use the paint, but she made a beautiful piece of art. This woman made lines around a sun. You see how different they all are. And this was done by a man in the program who was an artist. That was his interpretation of making lines. And there's one more. And they're all just lines or dots that went for a walk. So in your kit, you have a beautiful piece of thick watercolor paper. You have a package of pastels. Variety of colors. And you have watercolor, everything you need to make your own dots going out for a walk. We're going to give you water for your paintbrush and piece of paper towel. And we also, if you have you all used watercolor and pastel some way or another?
Not pastel.
Oh, all right. Pastels are they're just really fancy crayons. And if you wanted with your watercolor to wet the palette, you could give it a little spritz, all the colors, or you could just dip your brush in the water and paint that way.
The pansies were significant to her mom, so send the connection,
There
right?
she is.
Or go out to the garden if you can.
What the heck is going on here? I just grabbed her before lunch, I thought you'd come say hello.
Yeah, gorgeous.
It was to make plasticine illustrations similar to Barbara Reed's artwork. She does books like the New Make
Sets. You know, you can get them at the dollar store. They're like gliders and all that kind of stuff.
So you could take a piece like this and use it and cut it out and use it in a second piece of art. So for everything you make, try and think about what can I do to extend this. I was making balloon stamps with my 10-year-old grandson, which is described in the book. He looked at the first one and he used turquoise and pink and yellow, and he said, that looks like a peacock. And then he got a magic marker and he drew a peacock's head and neck and feet. But if there's something that really resonates with your person, carry it on and keep going with it as long as you can.
And maybe you use the balloon longing, which you've been longing for that same connection you used to have. This is your new connection, right? This is how you're gonna be together.
My husband's never painted or drawn or anything.
Oh, that's a good idea. And they're big too.
And they're big,
They're
they're
not
not big and
fine
simple.
detailed, yes. That was great.
Yeah, she does love colors and flowers, so. That was fun. I did that for me.
Glad you enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Anyone else interested in just holding up what you made?
Sure. This is Foggy Road to Terrence Bay.
And I never ever.
So then that could be the title of your child. That's the title.
Yeah, so we met while making on the field.
And when I got older, that's what the I wasn't into youth like going up against.
Oh, no goodness.
And rugby can be one.
And then you eliminated and stuck with soccer.
Bring them on. What else? This together.
Oh, man. I know, aren't they pretty?
I'll explain it.
We're gonna give you the wire.
My painting is just for my mom because it's our African heritage colors.
Yeah.
And these are braids. Our braids through are connected, and the color purple representing the Alzheimer's in our culture, and this is what we're experiencing now. So this is our connection and our journey, our cultural journey.
Yeah.
That is exquisite.
Exquisite.
I'm not finished.
I'm still going.
There's a second piece of that paper, I believe, in your kit.
Yeah.
It's certainly looking like we were overly ambitious in planning this workshop, thinking, oh, that we can do 3 art activities. I don't think that's a possibility at this point, but I'll explain to you what the second one was going to
Can the
be.
music in a bit, please?
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Just a bit, so we can hear it.
Yeah, there's no watercolor paint involved in this activity. You need Crayola markers and a piece of plastic. So we've put a plastic zippered bag in your kit that was intended to be used. And the way you do this is with your Crayola markers, you draw something on here and color it. So it could be just about anything. It could be, or nothing. It could just be colors, you know, blotches of color, or it could be a scene or flowers or a creature, whatever you want it to be. Then, this is a magical part, you take a spray bottle and very gently mist it, and then a piece of paper, you lay your art on the paper and rub it, and then you end up with something that looks a little watercolor-ish. There's one that we made, Heather and I, and there's a second one. And so, all you need is markers, water, and a piece of plastic. And then this is an example of taking what you made and extending it or expanding it or doing something different with it when it dried, which is almost instant. And Heather did this really well, just outlined it with a black marker.
Yeah.
I know you're ready to go, so I thank you for coming. Thank you to Northwood for hosting this, and Caregivers Nova Scotia for organizing it. And hopefully you're leaving here with maybe even just one new idea or one new thought to consider, and that will be the spark that ignites something positive.
Tell them the muffins are fantastic.
Take something on your way out.
Oh, okay.